Hey everyone, so today I want to try Claude 3.7. They just released it. I've been using Claude 3.5 for quite a while. I want to see if there's an actual improvement that I can notice. They're claiming there's a bit of an improvement, 13%, and with custom scaffold even more. Not exactly sure what that means. But yeah, so how I'm going to be doing this is adding a new feature to my time tracking application with the new model, and then I'll do it with the old model, Claude 3.7 and then Claude 3.5. In my time tracking application, we have reports. We have the detailed and summary report. The detailed shows all the time entries based on the time range and whatever filters you have applied. And then the summary is just going to show you kind of the aggregate, the total amount of time done on this project for this year. I want to add some charts, probably bar charts that are grouped by the different groups. So by the client or the project. And then, yeah, broken down by some time period. So by day, by week, or per year. So I don't have any designs for this or anything. So just going to be using AI to add these charts. Let's jump into it. We're going to be using Cursor. And I noticed there was an actual new release for Cursor. So it seems that they consolidated Chat and Composer into one and changed to this new way of changing the context in which you're using the AI. So they have the agent mode similar to Composer, where it's just going to go make changes to your actual code base. And, when it's writing code, if it creates compiler errors or whatnot, it's going to try to fix those. And then, yeah, they have the ask. I guess this is just to ask questions about your code base, and then the edit, which I'm not too sure how that works, but I think it's like for editing, making smaller changes. Okay. So let's start. First, we need to write our prompt. I'm not going to give it any reference to any files. I'm not too familiar with this code base. Honestly, I know we have a charting library, but I don't know which one we're using. So I'm going to ask Claude to figure that out and see which charting library we're using and to make use of that. So let's write out the prompt. I want to add a bar chart to the detailed and summary time entry reports to show the number of hours done over some period. So that period would be day, week, or month. Let's start with that. I also want the bars to be split by whatever grouping is selected in the summary report. So client, project, user, etc. The idea is to have a bar chart, and then each bar would be split into different sections. So they got a project A, project B, and then see the distribution of hours in the bar. I should mention that we also are using an existing charting library, so make sure to use that. Okay. So yeah, searching our code base, search code base, time entry reports, detailed summary. Found the reports. That's pretty cool. Wait for it to generate the code. You can see that I identified that this is the charting software that we're using. So that seems to be correct. It's adding it to our summary timer report here. Get random colors, generate date periods. So the time period, day, week, month. Doing the initialization code of the chart, going through the records, and now it's adding to the detailed time entry report. So yeah, just cutting some of this video out, but this is actually taking quite a while. So it's definitely not noticeably faster. Unlock time entries, is it refactoring my code? Okay, it is. Randomly just deciding to rename this variable from unlock time entries detail to detail. That's AI for you, just randomly does stuff you didn't ask it to do. Open menu. Why is it changing that? Yeah, strange. It seems to be changing stuff I didn't ask it to change. So I'll have to see that once it's finished. And you can see that it's going off and fixing linter errors. That's the agent mode where it's able to look at its output and fix all these errors. That was one of the pain points of using Copilot. You'd have to take the code and then it wouldn't work because there would be compiler errors. You'd have to go back to the prompt and tell them about the errors and then fix it. So kind of tedious. Or you could fix the errors yourself. Okay, why is it, did it update this? Very strange. I'll let it finish here before I dive into the results. All right, still generating code. It seems like it's basically trying to fix linter errors, but it's struggling to do that. So why is it adding this menu? What is going on? Yeah, so it's just doing arbitrary refactorings now, like renaming this component. Yeah, this is the thing about AI is like you ask it to do something and then for some reason it gets caught up on something else and starts just doing that. Like renaming this component for some reason. Why are you doing this? I didn't ask you to do this refactoring. Kind of annoying because now, yeah, it's just going off on a tangent. It's doing changes I didn't ask for. And now those changes are going to be mixed in with the other changes it made. So, yeah, not perfect. Finally, it's done. It's telling me what it accomplished. Successfully implemented bar charts for both the detailed and summary report. Added a time period selector. Used the existing charting library. Made the charts responsive. Fixed various lint errors. So does it compile? No, it does not. It's not compiling. Seems like, yeah, it introduced a few errors. There are compiler errors. I could fix these myself, but let's see if Claude can fix them. All right, so yeah, managed to fix them. Guess I just got confused and removed some arguments I had undefined before for the delete, and it removed it. Are we compiling now? Okay, we're compiling. Let's see what it did. That is pretty impressive. Right now, it's grouped by project. We can see it appearing like that. The axis labels are pretty difficult to see, but it doesn't know we have a dark theme. If I switch to light mode, it looks fine then. So much better. So we can probably ask it to fix that afterwards, but we can see it's broken down by week here. The colors are quite ugly, but we have a legend here. Let's now switch to users. Okay, now it goes by users. And if we change it by month, now it's by month. So if we find this user, this guy has 65 hours for these two periods. Wait, really has the same amount of hours? That seems like a bug. Actually, that doesn't make sense that these are the exact same amount of total hours. Something is wrong. Go for the detailed one. This week, we'll do this year. Hours by week. There's no group by here. Something seems off. So changing this to month. Yeah, it's not really working. So this isn't working, and it seems like the summary is not working properly. But it's a good start. Let's focus on this one first. It's working in the sense that it's splitting it, but the total hours is wrong. So let's fix the summary chart first. So we'll tell the prompt what the issue is. The summary chart doesn't seem to be working correctly. Each period, each bar has the same amount of hours for some reason. And yeah, something we can do is give it a screenshot. Maybe that'll help it understand. I'm gonna attach this image and maybe that will help it. Okay, so I guess it didn't actually, because the summary report calls an endpoint to get like all the aggregate numbers, right? Like gets the total amount of hours for each project or client, but doesn't get the actual raw detailed time entries. So it doesn't know, okay, these time entries are in this period and this is in this period, aka this month or this month. So I guess it completely messed up there. Okay, so let's update summary time report. So it's, yeah, gonna call it get detailed time report, which is gonna give it the list of time entries. And I'm guessing it's gonna use that then to do the groupings. Okay. So is this gonna work now? Well, that seems better. We don't have the same output now. So vision-oriented system, so that's 0.75. So yeah, that should be about 2.25 if we go look at it in the actual report, 2.15. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And then we can filter by the week. Well, yeah, I should change this filter. So last 12 months. Oh, that's going to be a lot. Yeah. I mean, it seems to be working. Month might be a bit easier. Yeah, we'll need some loading indicator or something for sure while it recalculates. Switch by and go by user. So we're just going to select this one user. We can kind of see if we do like this year, see what is their total hours. Yeah, that makes sense. It's working quite well. Some minor improvements like fixing those labels to be white on dark mode, adding some kind of loading indicator for when we change the time period or group by. But overall, pretty impressive that I was able to get this working. Now, if we go in the detailed, this doesn't seem to be working quite well. Well, no, it is working. last month. No, it's not working. I think I know why. Probably because it's using the actual paged results and not everything. Obviously, I don't want to just see only these. I want to see everything. We can now tell it there's an issue now in the detailed report. I don't see the correct amount of hours. I'm not going to mention paging as the issue. We'll see if it can figure that out. Probably going to have to create a new endpoint in my backend to crunch all these numbers and return the data for these reports, because it's not really efficient doing this on the front end. All right, I think my prompt was bad because it's not understanding what I meant in the charts. The total duration for each bar doesn't make sense. So just reject these. I'm going to have to give it some more information. I think it's due to paging. You are using the paged results in the chart, so we don't see the true duration for each period. Oh, I'm absolutely right. The chart is only showing data from the current page of time entries, not the complete data set. Let me fix that. I guess it's probably going to literally page through all the results or set some massive page size, get a large number of entries for chart. This is definitely not efficient, but this is the only way I can really do it right now. I'd have to make an API endpoint to get this information rather than having to get all 1,000 time entries. If they put the whole year, then there's definitely going to be over 1,000 time entries. But it's fine for this exercise. I'll add that endpoint later. So let's see. I don't know where the chart went. It's probably loading and it didn't add a loading indicator. It's definitely a programmer, because programmers don't think of these things when they do it. Like, they don't say, oh, what if this takes a second to load? We should show some loading indicator or skeleton loading or something. So you have to add all those in, but it seems to be working now. I have no idea if these numbers are accurate, but I'll assume they are for now. But pretty impressive. So let's see if it can do one more thing, which is fix this, because fixing styling issues are a pain, because you have to be familiar with the code base to know how to do it properly, like where to apply the rules. There is another issue for dark mode. The labels on the chart are in black and we can barely see them. I'll fix the chart label colors for dark mode. Let's update the chart component to ensure that the labels are visible in dark mode. Now we do not have a SAS file. If you look in our component, you can see that we don't even have a CSS file, but in files we do, we have a CSS file. So that's annoying. I mean, we could see if it works. Yeah, let's just see if it works. No, it did not work. We're not using CSS, and this did not work. The colors are still not. I think it's gonna struggle with this. Like, honestly, I still struggle with styling things, especially components that from other libraries. It's always a challenge, and doing it in a clean way. So it's trying again. Axis dark mode here. Yeah, it's still not working. It's still not working. Can you just apply it globally, maybe, and not within specific component CSS files? That's the last idea I have to get this working. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to have to really go through the DOM and understand how we're applying our styles. But yeah, it's looking at our style file here, which isn't even the right one. This project is a bit convoluted. We have multiple style files because of how this project was set up, but it did seem to work. So that did work, but it just kind of slapped it anywhere. Like, that's the thing, is it's not going to really understand how to do it correctly or using CSS variables for these colors that we should already have. But that makes sense because it's kind of hard to understand how everything is laid out. But yeah, it seems to be overall working quite well. Some minor improvements that I would make, like adding skeleton loading to show that a chart is being loaded. Pretty good, honestly. Pretty impressive. So that was with Claude 3.7. Worked quite well. Took a while to actually generate all the changes. It did make some weird changes that I will have to go back and review. I'll do that when I'm creating the pull request and making some other improvements. All right, so now I'm starting fresh. We're going to be trying now with Claude 3.5. I don't think there's going to be much of a difference, honestly. I've been using 3.5 for quite a while for bug fixing, adding features, and refactorings in a similar experience to what I just had with 3.7. But yeah, let's just see if it's honestly the same experience, then I'm just going to stop and say, yeah, there's not much of a difference. We will create a new chat and give the same prompt and switch to 3.5. The first time it took quite a while to do this. So we'll see. Yeah, I already found the charts. So yeah, found the charts, found the reports. So it's going off and creating those. I think that this is going to be kind of a flawed comparison because one of the things about AI is that you will always get a different result. You can give the same prompt and it's going to kind of take a different approach. Not an exactly different approach, but sometimes it just might do something like kind of dumb. Just going to be like, why? And then it might not do that a majority of the time. When it was making arbitrary refactorings in the other one, we may not see that here. But that's not necessarily because of the actual difference in 3.5 and 3.7, but just in AI and how it's different every single time and how the end results are different every single time. Prepare bar chart here. Yeah, I can already see it's making the same mistake. It's not really using the detailed, or it's using the page results. So yeah, now we can see what it did. So I've now added bar charts to both summary and detail time. I've in the summary added the top 10 entries. Okay. So that was a lot quicker, surprisingly, but maybe that makes sense. Maybe it's doing less thinking and processing, so it's just quicker. So let's see what we get. We'll start with the summary. Okay, so no legend. Again, we have the color issue. Group by. And yeah, there's no period. Hours by period. It added it to the detailed. Did I give it a bad prompt? Yeah, so it really didn't understand the assignment. Really? Is it this bad? I mean, it's not even split by period. The x-axis is by the group. So the client right now, this is totally wrong. I'm almost tempted to try it again because it's hard to believe that that would be a difference in the actual model and not just it getting confused. Don't know what I should do. So yeah, the initial result is a lot worse. It did not understand what I gave it. That's surprising. I did not think it would be so off, but I don't know if it's because of the model or just because of AI producing different results for the same input. All right, so I'm just going to see if that's the case. Report charts, just going to stash my changes here and we'll give it one more try. Let's come back here and try this again and see what we get. Okay, I'll help you add a bar chart to the time. Yeah, so it's tackling summary time report now first. And I can see it is adding the grouped period. So seems like it's on a better path already. Okay, so it finished this time around. It took a lot longer. The first time was quite quick, but it came up with a really bad solution. And now we'll see what it did. Chart shows hours worked over time. That looks correct. So now we can go refresh and see what it did. Oh wow, did a really different approach to the UI. Split these up in different sections. I don't like how it did that. Instead of a drop down, it made buttons. Group by client, change this. I'm going to change this in light mode. It's hard to see. Weekly, daily. I need to change this last 12 months. Here, monthly. All right, it's not really working. I'm guessing it's not using this filter or it's running into the same issue using the results of this. Interesting. It even modified this to add in the client name. So before I didn't have the client name here. Made a bunch of UI changes too. Let's see what it did for the detailed report. Same more or less. But here it put it inside this existing card. Whereas here it split it up. Okay, so a bit better now, at least that it understood it split it by period. But as you can see, it was the exact same prompt, but a completely different output. So I'm going to stop here. So clearly the exercise with 3.7 went a lot better. It took longer, for sure. The first pass took a lot longer and I made a lot of mistakes, but then I was able to fix those mistakes. The second one, I had to give it more information. And then when I switched to using 3.5, that first pass gave me a botched output. The grouping for the bars was completely off. It wasn't by the time period. It was just by the client or the project. My intuition was it just went down the wrong path. So I tried it again and we got a better result. So I can't really conclude though that 3.7, I'm seeing much improvement, even though we did have a better result than 3.5, both passes. But again, the challenge with AI is that you give it the same inputs, the same prompt, and then that output varies from time to time, right? If I probably did this exercise again in 3.7, I would get a different output. Could be worse, could be even better, and it could be faster. Hard to conclude if there's an improvement, but from this experiment, yeah, it does seem to be better. Still, pretty cool that I was able to add that functionality into my application, right, in less than an hour. and not have to write much code myself or even be familiar with the code base. Like, I didn't even have to go look at the charting software that we were using. I didn't have to go online and see, how do we use this charting software? What properties do we have to initialize? So that saves so much time, honestly, especially as a developer who works across many different projects. When you're a developer that works on many different projects, like, there's a charting library probably in this front end, and you don't really care like how it works because they all kind of work more or less the same. You add a component to another component, initialize that, and feed in a bunch of charting data. How you style it is more or less the same. To use AI to abstract having to know the inner workings of that library, it's pretty nice, right? And then you can go in and further change it. But it just provides you a good place to start from and then go in and further tweak it, which is what I'll do. I'm going to use the first result I got and continue from there, improve the styling, improve the loading of it, add some skeleton loading and all that. In conclusion, 3.7 is a bit better, but I'll be continuing to use it, assuming I don't run out of credits, because I know it's a lot more expensive to use than 3.5. Thanks for watching.